Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time I'm delighted to be joined by my friend Steve, and we are both here looking around Maurice's All You Need Is Books warehouse. Now, last time it was a little bit rushed and I wanted to sort of have a good old chat with Maurice, which we did. This time round I'm very much here to have a good look, go through my wants list and spend some money. So that is what we're going to be having a look at today. So you'll see me searching through books, sorting stuff out, and at the very end we'll do a complete unboxing. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's take a look. Okay then, so I've taken a lot longer this time to have a bit of a slower look through Maurice's warehouse because there is so much to see. And last time round, although I was pleased with the video and the interview with Maurice and looking through his artwork, I thought the tour through the actual warehouse was a little bit rushed, and I made a point of taking a little bit longer now, certainly over the sections that interested me the most really, which was the vintage publishers. So this is pretty much as you come inside the door, and Maurice has got all his sort of Penguin Crime paperbacks all to one side, and that's what we'll sort of have a look at first. And with the Penguin Crime, they are sorted into author surname rather than like chronologically. So all his early crime up to about 1965, 1970 is just by author's surname. A few authors aren't actually here. They're like in their own dedicated sections within the All You Need Is Books warehouse. So it's a little bit confusing if you're going there to shop. But as I said, predominantly Maurice does all his trade online through the All You Need Is Books website, and that's probably the easiest way, in all honesty, to have a look through. But Maurice is able to allow us to do a bit more filming today, and I took the opportunity of having a really thorough look through. And even then, there's more to see and more to get through eventually. But I think I was a bit booked out by the time I'd finished. But not to take anything away from it, it was fantastic. So just a few photos there, just to give you an idea of just the vast size of the place. It's just incredible, really. These are all the blue biography Penguin titles that Maurice has pulled to one side. And then there's a huge run of like John Creasy stuff. Those are the Penguin scores. I said some authors, they're all together, so that, you know, if you're into that particular, you could just shop them in one easy hit. They're not sorted by publisher, and that's the way the warehouse is. It's not done. You can't look at all the penguins in one hit. You can't look at all the the pelicans or anything like that, all the panthers. They are dotted around, although all those publishers do have like dedicated sections for like general stock. As we'll see, here's a nice run of Nick Carter. And one of the things that really like bowled me over last time was some titles he's got in such quantities. It's just incredible. That bottom shelf there, I didn't have a chance to go through, but that was all Cherry Tree books, which you don't often see those, and they are pretty nice. This is an example. That's 7 Sexton Blake number 7. Look at the copies there. There must be, 15? All brand new and mint. So this is how I went through the warehouse. So I'm stood on a chair, so that there's chairs and stools dotted around all over the warehouse, just so you can access the top shelves. So they're making full use of the space that's available. I'd have my phone in front of me with my up-to-date wants lists, and I'd be going through and checking to see if there were titles that I wanted. I was also keeping a particular eye out for books which had POW-related stories, as I'm putting together a video which is coming out on New Year's Day, in actual fact, on Second World War escape stories. So I already had a fair old collection. I had quite a lot of Colditz books, but I'm always on the lookout for some more, and since I've been really sort of zoning in on it, I've found some absolute corkers. So some of those, once again, I'll be able to share with you at the end of this video. So this is part of Maurice's Panther Books collection. I was very pleased to be able to pick up a few more Panther Crime Bands, which was a very specific crime imprint within the main Pan numbering system. You see a few there. Once again, I think I picked up 3 or 4 ones which I didn't have now, so I'm getting a fair collection of those together, which is pretty cool. And I've started producing, like a list of them. I didn't pick up any of these, but I wanted to show them nonetheless, and this is the gold medals. And Maurice has got a really, really good selection of gold medal books there. It's not really a publisher I collect, but I've got, I don't know, maybe 20 or 30, and I've got about another 15 or so British ones, which I think are much scarcer, which have just come my way over the years, really. But yeah, some really great stuff in there, and if there's particular authors you're after, chances are Maurice will have them there. Maybe not first editions, but they'll be there. Lots of very cool stuff. And Maurice has said that there is like 100,000 books in the warehouse, but only just over half of it is actually listed online. In front of most of the bookcases were boxes and boxes of new acquisitions, which had yet to be shelved. So I think, another really good reason to actually go there physically, because you could see some stuff which wasn't actually on. But that bookcase there that we're looking at now is almost all gold medals. Now, this is another bookcase stacked with Panther books, which is a publisher I do like. Maurice has got stacks there that I need. My collections consists of ones that I've picked up, out in the wild, as it were, really. This is another bookcase full of digit books. I absolutely love digit, and there were stacks there that I wanted. I picked up about half a dozen or so, but there was loads more. If I was just filling in all the numbers I was missing, I could have spent, thousands. But there's nowhere else in the UK I know that's got this sort of range of vintage paperbacks. It just doesn't exist. So it really is quite exciting when you get the chance to go through there and have a really good look through. All those Charterist books there, Dennis Wheatley's. I love the Arrow Dennis Wheatley's, and I wish I had the time to go through really and pull out a few of those, because I haven't got very many. Just so much fantastic stuff to feast your eyes on. So this is his 4 square books before they morphed into a New English Library. On the whole, those were in numerical order. I guess it's just the easiest way to find books with the 4 square. Some real interesting ones there, some of them in depth. Once again, I picked up a handful of new 4 square books in my collection. But there was loads more there that I fancied. But I wanted to get a little bit of everything, really, which I did. But yeah, as you can see, lots of really nice condition 4 square. There's the later New English Library ones, Man from Uncle books. This is Maurice's selection of John Spencer Badger books. I had a few shelves of those. Once again, I've had mine out recently. I give them all a clean. And although my list is up to date, I wasn't exactly sure how much Maurice was charging for them. And not just that, I didn't fancy picking any up, in all honesty. There was nothing that jumped out at me, ones that I thought I must get that. There's a couple on my radar that I'm definitely after, but they weren't there. So nothing to make me want it. There was, however, lots and lots in the Collins Crime that I wanted. Now, I mentioned last time that Maurice had just taken receipt of a collection of 4,000, and that's right, 4,000 Agatha Christie books. It was an entire lifetime's collection. Many books were there in huge numbers.
Well, I'm here with Jules again. Hi everybody. I'm glad you're enjoying Jules' channel. Have a look at mine as well, Outlaw Bookseller. But I don't normally do the Ace Doubles thing. I tend to stick to SF published between 1970 and 1990, or rather those liveries. I read right across the genre. And something I picked out here that's worth a look is Anna Chaos by Kurt Clark, which is one of the many pseudonyms of the crime writer Donald E. Westlake, also known as Richard Stark, Edwin West, Tucker Coe. There's probably some others as well that I don't know. This is one, it's an interesting one to watch out for, because it's his only SF novel. There is a short story collection called Tomorrow's Crimes, which is Mysterious Press in the good old US of A, but that's a nice one. And I think really, maybe I should start collecting Ace Doubles. Don't tell my missus.
Oh, thank you for that for Steve. It's always brilliant going up and visiting places like this with Steve. He's such a font of knowledge. And obviously, if you've not checked out Steve's channel, Outlaw Bookseller, over on YouTube, you are missing out on some really, really great content. There's some fantastic stuff there. Predominantly science fiction, but he does do other things as well. Okay, now as we look at these gorgeous corgi books, which again I didn't really dive into, I wanted to go back to the Agatha Christie collection. So I reckon in the warehouse there was probably, I don't know, 700-800 of the 4,000. And I did ask Maurice about it. I said, you said you had 4,000 books. I've seen, 500 to 600 maybe on the shelf. And they were, basically he pulled all the penguin ones out and put them with the penguins. The Pan ones had gone into his Pan section. The Fontanas, there was almost a bookcase or half a bookcase full of Fontanas. A lot of American ones as well, which I was tempted with, and I did end up buying some American early pocket ones off him. So what he's done, because there was, say for example, an early Fontana, in fact all the Tom Adams Fontana titles, but there was like 20 different copies, all different printings, because this is how the collector collected them. Maurice himself has put them into massive job lots of like 20 different vintage Agatha Christie's, so they're all sort of sorted it out like that, and anything special and the nicer quality copies have gone into his main stock. Now, just looking through Maurice's collection of nice vintage Ace books, which Steve was mentioning, they do look very, very nice. He's got a lot of Ace crime and science fiction, Ace doubles as well. They're just, they are fantastic. I've got a few. I've got, a couple of dozen or so. I think they are really, really nice, and it's definitely the sort of thing I'll pick up in a future visit, I think. But as you can see, once again, certain titles Maurice has got a lot of duplicates of, so when you get that, is an advantage. You'll go in there, you can choose like the best copies and things like that. That's a little run of Robert Heinlein there, and Philip Jose Farmer. Great stuff. But hopefully this time round you're getting the chance to have a slightly better look at the bookcases, and obviously if there's something that you fancy, just head on over to Maurice's website and place an order. He was pulling lots of orders out while we were there. I mean, very, very busy chap. Lots of books coming in and a lot of books going out as well. Yeah, some cool Ace doubles there. Didn't really have a chance to have a proper look, but they are good fun to look at. Brilliant books. Once again, giving a little idea of the sheer size and scope of what there is to go through. It's just an awful lot, and I couldn't really do it justice. This is sort of a few TV tie-in books and things like that, a few movie tie-ins. There's no way I could go and look at every single shelf in detail. There's just too much there. This video would be, 20 hours long. So I'm just trying to concentrate on the more vintage publishers and the stuff, which is of interest to viewers of the channel as best I can. But, I touch on everything really. She's got like one of the passageways is pretty much full of just A to Z crime and classic crime. It really is quite something to behold. I mean, it's a shop in itself. I mean, it really is just incredible, absolutely incredible to see. And as I said, it's done by author's surname rather than broken down by publisher, but you can see intermixed with so much. The Keyhole Crime there, I had no idea there was a couple of Lawrence Block in that series. Professionals books, I think there was 15 of those. Then there's some slightly later, so this is like mid-60s upwards Penguin Crime, mid-60s to mid-80s. Later Ian Fleming prints, so there was a lot of Ian Fleming, James Bond stuff there, an awful lot of that. Some more later Penguin printings and related memorabilia. Had a few bits from the Penguin Society there as well. He'd obviously bought some collections over the years. And Penguin Elmore Leonard's and Ed McBain's. Donald Westlake. A few bits of Penguin memorabilia, a few poets, classics, pile of King Penguins there as well. This is the start of his great pans, and then his pan giants follow, and the number only pans I have filmed, and they're later on in the video, but they're in like his second warehouse. So there is like an adjoining warehouse which is not as well lit as this one, but I did go in there and film the best bits of it, basically. All the filming today is done with the flash on, simply because it just would be a bit too dark, and I've tried to colour correct it as best I can. But it can be, certain corners can be quite dark. It's a difficult sort of thing to light a warehouse when you're looking at book spines. I found the same in Hay-on-Wye. Some of the bigger bookshops struggled to get the places lit very well, but hopefully it's a bit clearer this time around. It certainly looked a lot better when I was editing this footage together. I thought, oh, that's so much better than the last one. So I hope you get a better look. I know a few people were saying they were like pausing the video, looking at stuff and making notes, and that's cool. That's cool. But as you can see, lots and lots of pan. I think next time I go, I'll go with a view to updating some of my tattier pan copies, because I've certainly got a few. As I've been going through and carefully cleaning them, I've been making like a second list of all the ones that I'd like to get better copies of, because some of them are clearly just fillers that I've picked up at boot sales or charity shops or somewhere like that, and they're fallen to bits, and I don't want them letting the side down. And as you can see, when there's like multiple copies of some of these there, there's no point having lower grade ones at home. And I think Steve was doing much the same with some of his science fiction. He was doing some really great upgrades, and I know he was super happy. So I think Steve's going to be, by the time this video comes out, Steve will have already done his haul from this latest visit. So go and check out Outlaw Books there to see what Steve picked up. I haven't really had a look myself, but I know he got a lot. He got as much as me, and I filled a box up. So we'll be having a look at that in a minute. Stacks of Saint stuff. If you're into the Saint, I reckon you could have got the lot. Seriously, there was fantastic runs of them. Once again, a lot of Agatha Christie in here from that main collection that he bought, and they've just slipped into the appropriate number. And I do know some of my later pan Agatha Christie's I do need to upgrade, but I got a bit sidetracked. I found lots of Penguin Agatha Christie upgrades, which I was delighted to get. So we'll have a look at those as well in a sec. But it's lovely to see all these pans, bookcase after bookcase of classic pan books. I was just loving it, honestly, loving it. Look at all those copies of Senor Saint. There was a dozen there. It's just incredible. And the copies of You Only Live Twice. It's just nuts, absolutely nuts. There's even more of them. Look, incredible. Yes, lots of Ian Fleming. I said lots of Christie there that have been recently added from that big collection. Just out of reach, that shelf. But you get the idea. You get the idea. Look at it all. The M series. Pan Majors. pulps. And we start spilling over into other genres now, a bit of the fantasy and science fiction, of which, once again, there's an awful lot. These are the A's, and there's like a whole corridor back to back full of science fiction. And I haven't gone through every shelf because there's just too much, but it's sorted by author surnames, so plenty to get your teeth stuck into, and I guess very easy to sort and pull stock from when you get orders in. So, but yeah, they're not split down. Like all the doors aren't together, for example, which would have been ideal for me because I've got a list of all the numbers that I'm missing, but I haven't got a list of all the titles, as an example. So that's where the website can come in, because you could just search by door books and see his entire stock. But as you can see, there's a few there. Some Conan titles, which is cool. And obviously with the SF, he does go bang up to date as well. It's not just vintage. It's a nice run of Robert Heinlein stuff. And once again, like the earlier Pan editions there, they're not in the main Pan run. They've been pulled out and put with the author, like he did with like his John Creasy, for example. So certain authors are like that. Others, they're just kept in by number. There's a slightly better look at some of the Pan stock there. Incredible, isn't it? Absolutely incredible to go through it. So he's got an awful lot there. An awful lot there. Some more science fiction. As you can see, it's pretty well sorted. You could go there if you had a few authors in mind. You could find them. Once you got the feel for the place. But I think, the way to do it, if you're visiting, is just to take a few hours to do it. Little bits of memorabilia around all over the place. There's a nice chopper bike there from the 70s. This is a little pile of Alfred Hitchcock Mystery Magazine. And there's Steve with Maurice. As I said, there's Steve's channel, The Outlaw Bookseller, on considerably more subscribers nowadays. And there is Maurice there. What a legend in the world of vintage paperbacks he really is. Now, this is also in the adjacent warehouse is a lot of Maurice's hardback stock, which I've really not even dipped my toe into. But there's an awful lot. There's science fiction, there's contemporary fiction, a lot of collectible authors, horror, science fiction. There's some TV tie-in stuff as well. All sorts there, as you can see. Nicely protected. A lot of it's all bagged up. So, in fact, most of it's bagged up. So, it's not in any sort of trouble. Now, these were fantastic. These were I'd never seen. I did spot them last time, but I had a bit of a closer look this time round. So I don't know what these date from, but my suspicion is the 1960s, and these are French sort of crime titles. It's a crime series. A lot of recognisable names there in the red boxes there. Like there's an Ed McBain there, for example. William Ard. You'll recognise lots of these names, and Maurice had these all out on display on sort of its own bookcase, and they look really cool. They really, really do look cool. I'm imagining late 50s, early 60s is my suspicion. Don't think they'd be much later than 65 at the absolute latest, but yeah, nice stuff those. Good to see, and they're almost like on display. So I didn't ask how much they were, but very nice to see. This is more hardbacks. There's some science fiction hardbacks now. Many, many big books, as you can see. But fantastic stock. I think for the SF fan, there's particularly a lot of good stuff. I think that's why Steve loves it so much there. A few of the adult risque nature, which I guess must turn up in collections, so we've put them all there, a couple of shelves, and then you're into the Doctor Who, vintage Doctor Who Target books, of which, once again, you had a fair old selection there, a few hundred. I'm still missing about a dozen myself from the original Target run, and I did check, and sadly none of them were there, but they'll no doubt turn up. Then actually Maurice showed me those recent acquisitions, those Hollywood albums and the film reviews. Absolutely mint they are. They're like brand new from the 1950s. Really, really nice. Bookcase, full of Star Wars and some classic 60s annuals. As you can see, some cool stuff there. And then it moves into some of the other big series. This is the Don Pendleton Executioner. They're an entire bay, a bookcase bay with his Executioner stock, right back to the very first one, UK and USA editions as well. I mean, fantastic. I know there's hundreds in the range. I think it's just under 400, plus then there's giants. There's some Perry Rhodan down the bottom, a couple of shelves of those. Here's more of the Executioners, the original American editions by Pinnacle, quite scarce at first batch. Once again, I should have gone through and picked up the ones I'm missing. I'm trying to get the first 36 of those. Then there was a run of The Destroyer, Remo Williams, The Destroyer books. They're fantastic as well. Lots and lots of those. So if there's odd, volumes of Men's Adventure that you're after, chances are Maurice has probably got them, and just jump on his website, and if you don't see it there, just send him an email, because there's so much here to go through. And once again, American and the British editions there. Then we move on to Maurice's Western stock, which is fairly comprehensive. I mean, not as big as, say, as Crime, but you're looking at 6 or 7 bays of paperbacks at least, and then I'd say another 2 or 3 bays of vintage Western hardbacks, and he's got some great stuff there. And there would have been some stuff I probably would dip my toe into, because he's got some gear in great shape there, but by this time I was pretty much booked out, and I just wanted to I just couldn't stand looking through any more. I had to I wanted to get it all filmed. These is George Gilman ones, Adam Steele into Edge. I'm still after Edge number 60, if anyone's got a copy, to finish my set. This is nice. I asked Maurice about this. This is a metal sign that he got in America for Beacon Books and Berkeley Books. Really, really nice set. I picked that one up in the States. So, also in the secondary warehouse is the numbered pan only series. I took a few photos, but I also sort of filmed most of the shelves. They were a little tricky to get to, even standing up on chairs and that, but I think you'll get the gist of what he's got there, which is in some cases incredible numbers of these original numbered only series. So I have got a set of these now, so I don't need any, but there's a handful that are on my upgrade list, and I did actually pick one up, which was we'll see it in a moment. It's the Dumb Witness by Agatha Christie, but it was a reprint. In fact, there it is. It's one of the reprint jackets, so he didn't have the first edition there, but I've got that anyway. It's the reprint of it with a different coloured cover and slightly redesigned, so I picked one of those up there. So I think that was the only Pan book I got, but there was a lot of Agatha Christie in there. Not the first 5 from the first 100. They're very, very scarce now, and none of those were there, but later ones there was quite a bit, and I think next time round I'll sort of have a look with a view to upgrading. Look at those copies of Holmes's Valley of Fear there. They're fantastic. Very, very nice to see so many Pan books. It's almost like you're cast back in time to the 1950s when these were coming out, and I guess this is what the bookshops would have looked like. Row upon row of vintage, vintage contemporary fiction. Fantastic stuff. I love it. Great, great stuff to see like this. And if you're collecting Pans, I don't know any other dealer who's got this many in one place that you could just go through and order online. So if you're missing any, just send a list off to Maurice. He'll help you out, I'm sure, because look at it all. Obviously, some of the key items are not there. Some of the rare Bond firsts and what have you. There's no Pan Book of Horror Stories. There wasn't a single volume in the entire warehouse. They've all sold. So certain series are still hot. They're in demand, and they're not generally around. So first one we got is this Panther here, Shark Hunter. I've never seen this one before. Not perfect in any way, but it's just such a great cover. I didn't want to leave it behind. And fairly run of the mill, 1956 that one, so that's all right. Here's another one. Wait for the Dawn. Now, I picked this one up because it's a prisoner of war title. So, shot down, captured, Nabro's dash for freedom will thrill all escape addicts. I'm beginning to think if I'm probably an escape addict, a great escape story. So, although there's no way I'm going to have a chance to read any of these new escape books before I film the video, I think it's going to be a nice little addition to that video. It's a little bit of a fragile copy, but it's an early Panther, that one. In a lot of cases, Maurice does put his vintage paperbacks in bags, so fair dues. This is another Panther that I've never seen before. It's a later one. I think it's late 50s. It's a film tie-in for Al Capone, and he was a bit worn, this one, but I don't think there was deer. 1959. A Burroughs Ackerman production, Al Capone. Who's actually playing Al Capone, I wonder? Rod Steiger. There you go. Yeah, I do have quite a soft spot for vintage true crime titles when they turn up, which isn't very often. I was pleased to get this one as well. So I've got some Asimov in there. Oh, this is quite tough. Let me get my blade. There we are. I've got some Asimov in Vintage Panther, but I've not got this one. And generally speaking, I quite like to collect vintage Asimov in paperback anyway. I've got a fair old bit now, and he was one of the authors I read quite a bit of when I was younger. Obviously, quite a few of the stories are a little old-fashioned these days, but even so, it's got that great sort of look on it. So I was pleased to get this one. It's a little bit more worn than I would like, but they do tend to go for good money, these, so as you can imagine. 1958. Early sort of 50s science fiction, I think, has had a bit of a revival, and the prices are there to show it. Now this is one that Steve popped my way. It's the original Altered States book. Now, I'm a big fan of the Altered States movie, the Ken Russell one. In fact, I got to meet Ken Russell at a show back in the 90s, and I got my DVD of Altered States signed by him, which I've still got. Although it's in a box somewhere, I couldn't put my hand on it, but that's actually pretty nice. That not a book that you see very often, and yeah, probably pretty rare, that one. 1981. This one's dated, and this would be specifically the movie tie-in edition. There we are. Directed by Ken Russell. I particularly like Bob Balaban in Altered States. It's one of my favourite roles for him. It's got a little... Look at that. That came off really easily, so that's good news. I'll give that one a little bit of a polish and a brush, and that will come up quite nicely, I believe. This one was lovely. Never seen this before. So it's a Fontana, number 136, and it looks to me unread. It is absolutely perfection, and I was delighted to see inside that it was also a first print from 1956, and another really great book in my Escape POW collection. So 17 escapes. So it's a little compilation, edited by Eric Williams, author of The Wooden Horse. It looks actually really good. Fontana, they were high quality publications, so you sort of got an idea of what you're going to be getting on these, and I think that's beautiful. A beautiful copy, that one, of The Escapers. What's this? I'm just doing these sort of as they come. So this is a nice... I got a few Foursquare last time, and I was pleased to get a few more this time. And these are in the early numbered series, and this is a Simonon. Look at that, and look at the condition of it. Young Cardinal, definitely one I've not got. Look at that. That's really nice condition. 1959. It looked like it had £5 inside, which I would imagine is probably a good price for it. It's an early Foursquare, and it's in absolutely top condition. And as we know, condition is everything with these vintage books. I know a few of those are there. They're pretty low grade, but I bought them for the content rather than anything else. Here's another early one here, Aurora Dawn, another early Foursquare. Razor this one open. Number 88, Herman Wouk. And these should clean up very nicely. Mortalman's cover. He did so many for Foursquare. And another one here, another Simonon, Brothers Rico, and this is Foursquare number 2. So I don't know if it's a first edition. I'm hoping it is, but if it's not, it's in such nice shape, I'm not going to be too fussed. Foursquare did reprint some of their books, these early ones, but not many. So let's have a look. Is it a first? Yeah, 1957. So it's a first edition of the second ever Foursquare book, and it's a lovely Simonon one as well. Very nice, that. Very nice indeed. Later, Foursquare now, one on Churchill, which I'd not seen before. Lovely copy. Now I have quite a collection of vintage Winston Churchill books, and this will be a nice little addition to it. It's got that sticker on, that Boots sticker on, which I'm gonna leave it there. In actual fact, there is some pencil on the sticker, which I'm just going to take off, which was a 6p. So basically, that book was, when it was published, it was 3 and 6. Boots did it for 1 and 6, then it went down to a shilling, then it was down to 6p. So they got rid of it in the end. I guess Churchill mania was waning a little bit, possibly, but cool to have. Let's put that all over there. Another Foursquare, and also look, it's Eric Williams again, and it's another escaping book, The Tunnel, which is cool. It's Foursquare 326. Now this was a little bit lower grade than the other Foursquares we've been looking at, but I picked it up once again for the subject matter rather than the condition. Now we're going to need to re-glue it, so let's just get rid of that. There we are. It's going to need a bit of a re-glue, but we have the technology. And if you watch my channel when I do new acquisition videos, plus my other channel, which is a dedicated book cleaning one. So if you've never checked that one out, do please have a look. We do lots of this where we reglue covers and that, and I don't do anything fancy. I just use sort of Pritt stick. Generally speaking, it's very, very versatile. It's generous if you were to make a mistake, and if you sort of overdo it, you can just sort of pull it off. So that's the reason why I like Pritt stick. I've used it for years. That's non-toxic as well, if you've got youngsters around. Let's see, nothing too difficult to do there. Just roll that one in to position, like so, and then we'll be giving these a brush off in a little while, and then finally we'll give it a polish, and that one will be quite nice. But yeah, another little addition to my escaping collection there, which I'm really pleased to have that. As I said, I went to Maurice's with a mind to pick up any new sort of escape books, so finding that one was pretty cool. Here's another one. So this is the American edition of the latter days at Colditz, which is called Escape from Colditz. Actually, it may not be. I see it originally published as the Colditz story. I'll have to check, but I think always thought this was the second book, but evidently it isn't, so it must be the first one. I've got the first printing of this in Berkeley. I've not got the second printing, which was the movie tie-in one. So and it's got a completely different jacket. The first has got like a really beautiful painted jacket on it. So very pleased to get that. Look at the dust and dirt on it. So that will benefit from a good wipe in a minute. Really dusty. I don't know how long that's been in Maurice's warehouse, but quite some time, I would estimate. This was the one that Steve was mentioning earlier on in the video. Anarchaos, Kurt Clark or Donald Westlake. It's an ace one I definitely not got. And it's beautiful condition. I think Maurice had 5 copies of it there. So I'm really pleased to get it. I will give it a read. 1967. Yeah, nice copy of that one. So I've got a few Panther Crime Bands. This is Panther Crime Bands. So this is an imprint within Panther rather, that I'm trying to track down and get as many of them as I can. I've got no idea how many were made, but I've got a list going, and often inside these they do print other titles in the Panther Crime Band series. Not sure if this one's gonna, doesn't look like it, but some of the earlier ones definitely do. So everything that's ever been mentioned as a crime band, I've got on a list, and then all the ones that I've actually got with their numbers, I've also got on a list. So that one's got a little 575 over sticker, which I'm going to leave on because it's like an original one. But that one's absolutely fine. I've been fairly fussy with these. I don't want them in just any old condition with the crime bands, but I'm happy to have them in sort of VG or better, VG Plus or better. I've got volume 2 of this classic crime, so I was pleased to get volume 1. Big 40 pence inside there, so we'll get rid of that. Yeah, so here's a few others listed in the Panther Crime Band section. So what I will do, when I put these onto my list, I shall check that all of these are listed in my master list, so that I know exactly, I've got a list as good as possible of what was actually published. Right. Airing Eve, another great escaper, one of the great escapers. And I found a couple of more recent books that I didn't have in my collection by him under his section in Maurice's warehouse. So I picked them both up. This one originally came out in 1971, but I've never seen it before, so Once again, inside story of underground escape lines in Europe, so that's cool. And another one which very, very similar, Little Cyclone, which I'd also not heard of, by Carnet. Also escape related. 73 this one, so it's a bit earlier, but that's okay. I saw this one last time and for some reason didn't get around to picking a copy up. Maurice had about 6 copies of this, maybe more, in his section. So it's got a little bit of like cover luster or some sort of staining or stickiness on it, which I'm hoping that the Mr. Sheen will get off. Apart from that, it's a really, really nice copy. I'm picking up all the American ones. Yeah, this just needs a polish, and that's going to come up gleaming, I think. Yeah, I like the American Bond books, and I got a fair collection of them now. I've not got them all by any means, but I'm getting there. This is probably the bargain of the day. I have already got this book. It's a rare Penguin crime title. I have a feeling it's better than the one that I've got, and Maurice didn't have many early Penguin crime there, but it is a first from 1940. I saw this one recently on a dealer's catalogue at £95, so I didn't pay more than a tenner for this. But as I said, I bought it with a view to do an upgrade rather than sell it on. But when I've checked it against my own one, I will sell on, the inferior copy. So you're never going to go wrong with these because there's so few Penguin crime titles around, and particularly this is one of the rarer ones. But it is one I've already got. But very, very delicate paper. Of course, these were printed during the Blitz. Got a little bit of wear there, but I think it's going to be I think it's an improvement on the one that I've already got, but I honestly can't remember. But I do know that it's rare. Lovely. We've got a lot more Penguin crime to get through. This was quite good. This is a Penguin handbook that I haven't got, so it's a series I've been trying to put together for a while. And here, Penguin handbook number 10, one that I wasn't expecting to see at Maurice's, but as I said, he had a few odd Penguin series that I finally got around to having a look at. 1946. Not going to complain at that. Nice early one to get out of the way, which is cool. Here's a digit. I picked up a few digits. It's a nice one, R773. I tried to pick up the ones in a good condition or just ones I'd never ever seen before. So let's have a little look at that. That looks all right. Once again, got a bent over corner. It's got 5 inside. I wonder if that's £5 or 5 pence. But I don't know. So Maurice gave us a very, very good deal on this, which is good of him. Here's another one, R470, another digit I'd never seen before. There's about 900 digits in total. The first 150 or so are unnumbered, and then after that they do have a number on them, and they're all manner of genres. SF, there's a bit of horror towards the end, and the early ones are predominantly war-related titles, and I really like it as a publisher, but I've probably got about a quarter of the 900 now, maybe even less than that. I reckon I've got 200 digits now, but there was certainly a lot there that Maurice had that I would have liked to have picked up. But I said you couldn't get it all, and I wanted a few bits for all the different publishers. I picked this one because it's such a big, thick one, and you generally don't. I don't think I've ever come across any big, thick digit books. So Maurice had a couple there that were huge, and I thought I'm going to get these while I see them, because they're not the sort of thing that's survived, and if they have survived, they've not survived in great condition. So again, an old price of some sort in there. There's a name, but I'll have to stay. The Dollar Instinct. Getting quite a nice cover that appealed. Not dated, that one. Got an old £2 inside. 615. There's another one, Bed for Beginners. It's got like a laminated cover. Once again, this particular one, Maurice must have had 6 copies of this, so I pulled out sort of the best condition one for myself, for my digit collection. Yeah, 1958. Pretty nice that to have. A few more here. This is a nice one. Guns Across Indian. Very, very nice copy of this. Yeah, one of their early unnumbered ones, which I haven't got. I've got about 20 unnumbered ones, and I think they're the earliest and possibly the scarcest. Most of the actual titles are war-related subjects. A lot of them are true stories or memoirs, war memoirs. I think that's how they got their start. Digit. A couple of concertina pages there, but they'll flatten out. It's got an old book dealer's inventory number by the look of it. Not Maurice's though, he doesn't really have one. Not in the flesh. There we are. Yeah, that's alright. Yeah, nice one that. Still got a few more. I forgot I picked up so many digits. Ambulance Chaser. This is a cool one. 527. Yeah, a bit of polish on the back there required. Honestly, these are so much harder to collect than if you were trying to put a run of Pan together. They just didn't sell in the same sort of numbers, you know. And this digit is perhaps the biggest one I've ever seen. It's on bullfighting, a controversial but collectible subject. Bulls of Parel, G453. This is the sort of book that inadvertently would become scarce over the years. Almost certainly. Big £5 inside. I wonder if that's what Maurice had it for on the website. Well, I've only read one book on bullfighting. That was by Hemingway, and it's fantastic. Another big one here, and this is a movie tie-in as well. My suspicion is these have been on Maurice's shelf for a long time because they're in these really sort of old bags. But I don't know. Don Makowitz. Is it a movie tie-in? Yeah, filmed by MGM, by whose courtesy the cover photograph was used. There's a few movie tie-ins in Digit. Ferociously recommended, it says. Wow, look at all that. Look at all that Digit. Incredible. My Digit collection will be vastly expanded. Right, now we're on to the first of quite a few sort of Christie's and Collins Crime Club titles. Now, this one here is not Agatha Christie, but it is an early Collins Crime Club because it lists the first 24 on the back, which is a sign that it's an early one. And Desire to Kill is number 22. Now, the dust wrapper on this one is hammered, and it's been amateurishly repaired, as as you can see. So I actually have a bag, and it's got tatty dust wrappers in. It's about that thick, I kid you not, and it's just full of predominantly Penguin, but there's some Pan and there's some Collins dust wrappers which are in a tatty old state. So rather than put that on the shelf like that, which I'm not going to do, I'm going to put it to one side, and it's going to go in my box of dust wrappers, because underneath this book is much better. It's going to have much more eye appeal on the shelf, and it just looks a better book because of it. So yeah, pleased to get this. Now, like a lot of these Collins books, the glue comes unstuck very easily, so I'm going to get some glue in there. Interesting look, it's got the previous owner had read it in April 05 and September 12. So there you go. So we'll get rid of that, because that obviously just relates to the previous owner of the book. So we're going to get rid of that, and then I need to get some glue in there. So what I tend to do is, I've got a small screwdriver here. I'm going to put some Pritt stick down there, and then just glue that bit back in. So it's not rocket science by any means. It's really easy to do, and it doesn't take too long either. So let's get it right into where it started to split. That's another thing why I like Pritt stick, is because you can just sort of smear it to your advantage and put it exactly where you want it to go. Obviously, as we work our way down, we're a bit more generous with it. Here we are. I think that'll be okay. And we just like that. Down the bottom here, that bit's just lifting up as well. So I'd like to get some in there, which I shall do. Once again, an easy job to do. Doesn't need a lot, just a touch really. All bits of spine are coming out. A few loose bits there. I think we got enough. I think we got enough glue in there to do the trick. Not perfect, but it'll do. It'll do. It's not like a very rare first edition or anything. Well, it is a first edition, but you know what I mean. It's not like worth thousands of pounds or anything. It's like, you know, a tenner at best. So, you know, it's all cool. So yeah, pleased with that one. That's a nice early one to have anyway. I also picked up this, which was a Collins Services edition. I've got a couple of Services editions in my collection, but this one I definitely haven't. It's not a crime one, sadly, and it is falling to bits, but it would have been cheap. And I said, Services editions, generally speaking, they just don't turn up. They were designed to be sent out overseas for the armed forces. In fact, look, that's got Royal Navy War Libraries in, which is, I love it. Although that's, you know, a defect in effect, it doesn't bother me, because it's got, you know, it means it's been through the wars, quite literally. And that's what these Services editions are all about, and that's why I love them. They're also incredibly rare, so you know, how many of these have actually survived? How many were even printed to begin with? Probably not that many. Maybe less than 10,000, I would think. They've been sent overseas, and then how many have survived and got all the way back to Britain? Not many. Now this needs extensive work, so I'm not going to do it on this video because it would just take too long, but I'm going to have that to one side, and that'll be one that I repair separately. Here's another nice early Collins crime here. So no dust jacket on this one. Stephen Strange, John Stephen Strange, the man who killed Fortescue. Once again, it's a fairly early one by the look of it, because it just lists up to number 36 on the back. So it's in that early format. This is what I've been sort of looking for with these. That's got quite a bit of pencil at the top there, which has been not very well rubbed out. So we shall attempt to make a slightly better job of it. Yeah, so it's been, well, a few years, in actual fact, number 27 there, in the series. It's been a few years since I've actually added any Collins Crime paperbacks to my collection, so delighted to get some. This is the first of a few Agatha Christie upgrades. Now, this came from that massive collection that I was telling you about earlier, and I've got a little list of Christies which are all to be upgraded in Penguins. This is number 683 from 1948. Now, the only thing is, and you'll see this with quite a few of these books, the guy who had this big collection has put them in these plastic sleeves, which is fine, but they can be a little bit fiddly to get out, although that one's actually come out not too badly. So these little reading cases are great. There actually are some Penguin specific ones with their logo on, but I don't think there's any of those with that. But that, you can see what a nice copy of that is, and that's why I've picked this up, because I've got all the Agatha Christie's in Penguin, every single one that they ever printed, right back to the number 6. Every single one, not every printing, but every single Christie. But by no means have I got them all in this lovely condition, and they're not all this good, the ones I picked up, but some of the ones I've got are very much well read because she was such a popular author. So I took the opportunity of getting a few extras, and that one I'm delighted with. This is a slightly later one, so I'm hoping it'll be just as easy to get out, because this is the reason why I don't like putting nice copies in these sleeves, because they're buggers to get out. Okay, there we are, 925. Yeah, this was part of a little run. Now, I don't think he's got, yeah, there was a run. I don't think I've got any here, which were published in association with the Collins Crime Club, and they've all got brand new introductions by Christie, and they're really nice. This is another nice one. There is one of these that I'm a bit annoyed I didn't spot it at the time, but it's got a bit of amateur restoration on, and we'll see it in a minute. Let's tease this bit out. Oh, I don't like doing this. There we are. Now, this one's got that 37 on the front. I was aware of that. I did spot that at the time, but even so, my copy, this is still going to be an improver on the one that I've got in my collection, so I don't mind. I just mainly made sure that they were first printings, which my Christie's are. Yeah, this is the one. So it's the Labour of Hercules, and I realised, unfortunately, after I bought it, that this is one of the ones that was a little bit... It's still going to be an improvement on my own copy, believe it or not, but it's got a little bit of amateur restoration there, green, you can see it. So it is what it is. It's still better than the one that I've got. So... you know, that's why I picked it up, really. But it's not as nice as some of those early ones we've just seen there, which were gorgeous. But it's still all right. It's okay. And these ones that are in these plastic sleeves all came from that 4,000 book collection. And we've got a fair few more to see. Mysterious Mr. Quinn. 931. See, that's where they tend to go, in the bottom and the tops of the spines, and the more and more they're read, the worse that gets. So I would suggest that this copy's probably been read about 2 or 3 times to get to that current situation. Whereas the one I've got is probably far, far worse than that, but I would never get rid of it because it's Christie. Now, I was particularly pleased to get this. This is another White Circle, Collins White Circle, but it's one of the very scarce Canadian ones. Now, as I recall, I think there's 5 Canadian White Circle Agatha Christie's. I've only got 5 Canadian White Circle books in my entire collection, and this is the only Agatha Christie one, so I picked it up because I know these are rare, I know they're sought after, and well, how many have even survived? Probably not that many. It's not in the greatest of shape, as you can see. It's got wear, but it is also a real rarity. So pleased to have that one. Not one of my favourite titles, actually. The Hollow, 1948. That has actually got a name on the inside cover. So what I tend to do is rest this one on here, and then I've got a nice strong surface to give this one a rub, but it looks like it must have been in pen because it's not coming off. That's a shame. Even so, a real Christie rarity, that one, and very pleased to have it. And I said I've got a few Canadian White Circles, but that's the only Christie I've got. Okay, so this was the one and only pan I got from the entire trip. It's Dumb Witness, and it's a really nice copy of it. It's actually the second printing, so I've got the first printing, and in the collection of 4,000, I'm certain that the early Christies were there in pan book form, but they'd already sold, or I imagine they'd already sold from Maurice's site. So I had a friend who actually asked me to pick him up the first of Dumb Witness, and it just wasn't there. But as you'll see in the video, there was 5 copies of this one. This is the reprint edition, 1953. It's a very slightly different cover to the first one, and it's a completely different colour. And it was such a nice copy, I thought I'm having that one. So that was cool. Right, we got some more Collins ones to do, and then we got some amazing American pocket Agatha Christie's. So this is Why Didn't They Ask Evans? A nice early one here, number 9. So it's funny, but on my channel recently, I have actually had out all my Collins and Fontana vintage Agatha Christie's. And who'd have thought that just a few days later, I'd be getting so many more. But, yeah, see, personally speaking, if it was me, I would never have put them in these tight little jackets, because all that's done is make that book worse, in my opinion. It's put undue stress on the front and back cover. But hey, they weren't my books, and I suppose ultimately they've kept them getting grubby, but at the same time, I don't think it's done them any, it hasn't really helped them at all. I reckon that spine has been detached, it's been re-glued at some point. As I said, these early ones, really notorious for not holding their glue. It's just whatever they were made of at the time. But lovely to have that one, nice early one. Murder of Roger Ackroyd, another early one that I was missing. Really not a fan of these. It's going to almost peel the blimmin' back cover off because of it, which is a shame. It is a shame. But I mean, that can be re-glued, so it's not the end of the world. It's just, I don't know if there's any way to get it off any easier. The front's not a lot better, in all honesty, and I don't want to crease it. Is it going to come out? There's a little bit of leeway on the front one here. Maybe easier doing it that way than the back cover one. Yeah, I think we're going to be okay. There we are. Okay. Yeah, I just don't think that was a really good idea to put such old books in such tight sleeves. Even now, with the front one off, it's hardly coming off very easily. There we are, it's coming off now. Awful. Not recommended, boys and girls. So yeah, so this is going to need a bit of re-gluing, but as I said, par for the course really with these old Collins ones. They're so heavy. They really are really robust, well-made books. And these early ones, when you think of how old they are, over 80 years now, these early ones, They are little gems, aren't they? They really are. So, I think a little bit of glue down the bottom there of the spine, and then we'll go in through the back here as well. So we'll do a little bit in there first of all, and that shouldn't be too difficult to do. But I like to do these sort of as we go along. Obviously none of these are going to be able to be polished because they're just paper covers. There's no lamination that will be polishable. So we won't get any polish near these at all. But I don't think I'm going to be that many short now. Obviously the toughest thing to find with Agatha Christie in Collins crime paperback are these services editions, of which I've only got one. Of Five Little Pigs, but there are some more that do exist. But they're, you know, very, very scarce, and I don't expect to find those really. What I would like to get a set of, if I could, would be the Albatross ones. I think there's 14 Albatross books, of which I've got 2, and they're both hammered. One went today on eBay, literally this morning actually, but thankfully it's one I've already got. And it went for £58. It was a nice one in a nice dust wrapper as well, but it's a little bit more than I want to be paying for them, in all honesty. But I've seen them go for more than that even. A couple, in fact, I've seen go for over 200 of the Albatross, so they are pretty scarce, I suppose. But I remember when I had my original Collins collection come my way, almost all of them have detached covers. The glue had just completely gone off, and they were supremely dirty, and I had to sort of clean them in the garden because the layer of dust on them was incredible. But mine look okay nowadays, although one of them, when I had them out recently, was looking a little bit suspect. But that's that one, that's fine. ABC Murders. This is a later printing. This is not a first printing, but it's an early printing of it. So it's number 63. It's not the first, but it is early. So let's see how easily. See, this comes out a little bit easier, doesn't it? There we are. That came out all right. Just not quite as fragile as those early ones. Well, it still only lists the first 69, so maybe this is a first print. It's difficult to tell without having all the other ones around it in context, because you can sort of see how the style changes. So this might actually be a first Collins. Let's pop a little bit of glue once again. I think we'll pop a little bit just in the top there. That's all this one needs, I think, which is all right. But I was expecting to have to do a little bit of work on these, whereas the American pocket ones we've got, they're really early as well, so I think you'll enjoy having a look at them. I was and ahhing about whether to pick them up, and I did, and I'm glad I did now, because it was sort of a little Christmas present to myself, really. I am pleased I got them. Oh, look, we're going to need to do down the bottom of the spine as well. As you can hear, the seagulls are in the garden. Well, not in the garden, but they're floating around overhead. I'm filming this video in December, just a few days before Christmas Day, in fact, and the weather is not particularly good at sea. I live by the coast, so when the weather is bad at sea, the seagulls tend to fly inland, you see, scrounging for rubbish and things like that, just to feed themselves, and I think that's what it is. The weather must be really bad out to sea, and they've all come inland, because that is what tends to happen. There we are. Let's put that one back to rights. Murder in Mesopotamia, 94. Right. Is it just going to come off easy? Is it going to be easy? Yeah. Go on. Oh, God, it's agony. There we are. Sometimes you can just got to bend the cover all the way back. It just comes off easier that way. There we are. Really thick, robust, but you can't believe how well made these are. They really are great, great books. Got a wartime advert in. So my suspicion is this once again is May 1940. So it's an early printing, but whether it's a first in Collins Crime, they list up to number 114, and this is number 94. So it's either the first or the second printing. It's definitely an early printing of it, that's for certain. Number 47, Seven Dials Mystery. Let's get this one out of its plastic sleeve. There we are. There's definitely a technique to getting them on and off. That's for certain. That's pretty nice, isn't it? That's survived the ravages of time, okay. It says it's the 12th printing, but the thing is, with these, they include all the first edition hardback. So when the Seven Dials Mystery first got published, it was in February 1929. And this edition, this paperback edition, 1938 here. So this is either the first or second printing again of this one. It lists up to number 100 and Crime Club. It lists up to number 49. So I suspect them that 47, that's probably a first printing again, just because they only list up to number 2 more after that. Appointment with Death 119. Now this might be a reprint. Ugh. Oh, it's just agony. This one's going to pull the cover off. You can actually see it. It's literally going to pull the cover off, which is a shame. But as we know, we can re-glue them. But I think we've learned a little moral there, not to put them in those plastic sleeves. Nice advert on the back, that one. Not one that you see a lot. Very, very dusty. These are going to benefit from a good brush in a minute. 1941, number 119. It might be a first, but there's no catalogue to tell. I suspect that's probably a reprint, this one. But that's okay. I said I'm not 100% too bothered about having the first Collins paperback printings, as long as they're nice early printings, and this one definitely falls into that category, so. I don't know if it exists. It probably does because of all the Agatha Christie's, but if someone had put together a list of which printing were the first Collins Crime Club printings, I think that would be really, really useful. Because they are the sort of books that can drive a collector a bit round the twist. But that's a really nice, attractive copy. I'm really happy with that. So that's cool. This is a later one, much thinner, 145. So be a wartime one. Not in a sleeve. So this is probably slightly older stock from Maurice's. Murder is Easy. Another wartime one. I suspect this is another one that's been in Maurice's stock for a while. Yeah, look. This is what they generally like. They just fall to bits on you. Right, okay. So I'm going to pop a little bit of glue just enough to get that put back in. Then we'll run a little bit along there because it's a wartime one. Paper rationing had already sort of kicked in, and you can see the page quality has vastly diminished since those beautiful early ones that we were looking at earlier. But you can see that with Collins quite a bit. Collins books, you can see, and in Penguin as well, another publisher, which if you look at them all as they were published, you can see a massive deterioration in the quality of the actual finished product as the war progressed, basically, and then it doesn't really start coming back into its own until the mid-1940s as war comes to an end and paper rationing comes to an end as well. Towards zero, 160. This is a nice copy of this one. Come out, come out. There we are. I was pleased to find this one. It's a nice copy of that, considering its age. There we are, undated, but I would imagine it's mid-1940s, like 43, 44, N or M. Of course, Collins annoyingly reprinted the Christies with different numbers just later in the run. So if you want all the Collins Crime Club, you're going to end up with doubles of some of Christie's books, a bit like Pan did in actual fact. As the price changed, they gave it a new number. And the last one of these, ABC Murders, completely detached, oh, not quite detached, almost detached, this one. So we take our little £2.50, like so. We're going to need to re-glue this one. Not ideal, but I can just fairly liberally pop this on because it's quite a clean tear. Apart from that, it's a nice copy actually. There we are, don't need to go crazy on it. Yeah, that's okay. Right, last batch then is this little run of American pocketbooks, and these are all first printings because I checked them all. Really nice copies as well. So they're all first pocketbook printings, not just generally first printings. Where are we? Yeah, first printing October 1940. Look at these, they're really, really beautiful copies. This is pocketbook number 79. So these were a little bit, I wouldn't say I bought them separately, but I waited until how much this other stuff came to before I decided to sort of pull the trigger on these. And thankfully, Maurice gave me these at a very, very reasonable price. The only thing I am worried about is the blimmin' plastic covers again, because these are beautiful books, and I'm just not happy bending the covers back. I just don't want to break them. I wonder if there's an easier way to do it. By maybe if I take that off, yeah, look at that. I think that's how I'm going to do it on these, because they seem very, very tightly packed, and I just don't want to bend the covers back. It's as simple as that. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to literally cut them out of their plastic sleeves. But look at that. So as is common with these, the books are laminated, a bit like the Dell books from this period. So there's a little bit of what they call lamination around the edges there, but that's absolutely normal. I'll be very careful when I give these a polish, but just look at that. That's a real beauty. Don't you agree? Obviously that's Murder on the Orient Express. ABC Murders. Now I always thought when the ABC Murders was released in America, it came out as the Alphabet Murders. So evidently, maybe it changed later on, I don't know. Or maybe that was just for the hardback. There we go. So by getting that out of the way, it then lifts that flap up, and it means we can get the book out a lot easier without risk of damaging it. Because we've got a few of these to get through, and that's another beauty. Look, pocketbook number 88. I think the very first one was pocketbook number 5, and that wasn't there, sadly. Someone, either it wasn't part of the collection, 1941, it wasn't either part of the collection or someone had already grabbed it. So these are in rough order. Number 249 here. Oh, this is much easier, isn't it? I don't like having heart palpitations. First November 1943. Easy to kill. I haven't got many early American pocketbooks in my collection. A few Permas, which were slightly later on. I've got like a 1 or 2 Perma bonds, and I've got some early Ed McBain in Perma. I'm assuming this is Murder is Easy, but at least it's easy to kill. First from October 1945. Let's put this in the bin here. Another 4 to go, yeah. Body in the Library. Lovely, beautiful copies, absolutely beautiful. They were too good to leave behind, really, you know. Right from, you know, a collector, December 45. I mean, these really are collector's copies of these. They're top shape, and that's what we like. Towards Zero, one of my favourites, that. Very nice. When's this? December 1946. Little bit of corner wear there, but very light. A couple more. What a great cover that is, isn't it? Death Comes at the End. That is a nice jacket. It sounds like the seagulls are definitely going for it. It must be very bad weather out at sea today. Not as mint as some of the others, and it looks as if that bottom bit has been re-glued, because there's a bit of old glue sticking out the bottom there. We wouldn't, of course, have been that sloppy, would we? But of course it could have been done literally decades ago. It was really, really tough. There we are. That's got it as good as I think we're going to get it, without having to put some sandpaper on it. Oh, there's a couple of corners biffed in there. Still very, very nice. Really pleased with that one. December 47. Got a little bit of a stain going through the bottom there, but very, very presentable copy anyway. Oh, and sadly, we're on to the very last book of the entire haul. Another copy of The Hollow, pocket 485. Slightly changed end papers now in pocket. Oh, it's being stubborn. There we are. Lovely. Got a name inside, so not quite as high grade this one as some of the others we've seen. But it was part of the same collection. A little bit of page edge browning. In fact, look, it's come out. Yeah, because look at that. But first print in 48, but it's just come away. It's coming away from the spine there, ever so slightly. Yes, that is a shame. But I've seen far, far worse. I think I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue in that trench there. Okay then, so I'm going to give these a brush down now. So I tend to use just a soft shoe brush. You can, of course, use a toothbrush if you want to be really delicate, which I tend to do on my hardbacks. But what this is mainly doing is taking off years and years, decades and decades of dust that's accumulated on the shelf. And the difference it can make is, well, often quite incredible. So I'm going to sort these into two piles. Books that I can give a little polish to and ones that I can't, basically. And the stuff that can't be polished, of course, is those old Collins ones, the Penguins. They've got paper covers. If it's a bit more modern and glossy cover, then generally a little wipe with the cloth will do it wonders. I mean, that spine was almost black at the top of that book. And it's come up much better than it was. These cinnamons are actually really nice, so the 4 squares rather, so they don't need a lot. Yeah, they were beautiful copies. They were also pretty nice. do these by size. But that copy of Escape from Colditz was really, really dusty on the top. That's got off almost all of that. It's just, you know, over the course of the decades, the books get a little bit dusty. It's inevitable. I try and run a hoover over the tops of my hardbacks and stuff at least once a year, with a little nozzle, just to pick up any bits of dust that's accumulated. But if you like these sort of cleaning videos, I have got a dedicated channel where all I do is go through my collection, and it's a work in progress at the moment, where I just clean it. Basically, I clean the books, and it's quite relaxing. It's brilliant to get the books out and have another look at them, and lots of people enjoy watching those. So there's a link to that channel in the description down below. I said, so far these aren't taking too much time. There's a few dirty ones here. Generally speaking, it's always the top edge that's the worst, because that's the one that's stood up and likely to pick up the most dust. Yeah, I'm really pleased with that copy of Half-Mast Murder. I have a feeling it is still better than the one that I've got. Lots of dust coming off those. Loads. It does almost give the tops almost like a peppery look, doesn't it? But it's just a reflection of quite how much dust and dirt is coming off them. Lots of dust on the tops of these, which is going to just disappear. Look at that. So much better. Now these are the pocket Christies, so I'll split these into two. These are in exceptionally nice condition anyway, so I'm going to just gently give them the once over, but they've been stored well. It looks like they've been stored in a non-dusty environment, so they're absolutely fine. Okay, so while you're away, I did take the hollow to bits and I've re-glued it. I took all the old spine out and put a brand new re-glued spine in there, so it's much better than it was beforehand. Now we're going to give these Collins Crime Club ones a brush. But that was a process that took another half an hour, so I won't bore you with that. They're okay. Another one I was able to finish repairing was this one. Just needs a good brush down now though, the Services edition. Plumes of dust coming off these. Last few. These penguins aren't too bad. Right, so the next step then is I'm going to sort these into two lots, the stuff that I can polish and the stuff that I can't. And then I'm going to give the ones that I can polish just a very quick buff up, and then we'll be done. Okay, so I'm going to give about half the books a clean with the polish. So I use Mr. Sheen, it's like a good all-rounder. I don't actually spray it onto the books, just spray it onto this cloth on a corner, soak it in so it's not too heavy, and then I'll go through the books and just take off any sort of vintage fingerprints and surface marks. Some obviously will need much more work than others, but these beautiful four squares, they don't take a lot because they've been very, very well looked after. just a little bit around the edges there makes it absolutely perfect, you know. Same with this one here. And I won't put any extra polish on, I'll just let the polish soak in. Now I've pulled out all the Vintage Penguin and I've pulled out all the Collins ones because they can't be touched with any of this polish because they've got paper covers. There's no lamination or glossiness to the jackets. So if we were to put any polish on there, it would damage them rather than clean anything up. But, you know, these 3 4-square books, I said they're all in pretty nice condition. On the face of it, they looked immaculate. But when you have a look at what's actually come off, look at that. That's off those first 3 books. So it just shows you, in a lot of cases, a lot of the times the dirt is like invisible. Now, this is a particularly tricky one, I would imagine, to find in nice grade because of its white and black cover. So, generally speaking, books with a black cover or a black spine are notoriously difficult to find in nice condition. So, very pleased to have a nice copy of that particular one. And this one, well, before I put any more, this was virtually mint, wasn't it? So, I can't imagine much is coming off it. Yeah, there we are. Lovely. Now, the same cannot be said for something like that, which is in much worse condition, a little bit older, obviously been read a few times, so that could be a sign of a good read at least, but these will need a little bit more polish on. But there is a limit. You can't just, you know, go spraying it on willy-nilly. You have to do it with a little bit of care because the books are fragile in some cases and a little bit delicate. Not a great deal I can do with this, but I've never ever seen a copy before. I suspect it's probably quite scarce, so. A lot of dirt coming off these last 2. A lot of dirt. Look at that. Anyway. We'll get a clean bit of cloth before we start any more. Got a pile of digits to do now. But yeah, I mean, what a visit really to the warehouse. I have to say, it was really, really good. And although I won't be going back for quite a few months now, I'm really pleased with what I've got. I certainly think I need to sit down with Maurice again and we'll have another interview. I think that'll be good. There's a lot to... he's got so many memories. There'll be a lot to cover. Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I do hope you go and this had quite a bit on, didn't it? I do hope you go and visit Maurice's website and have a little look. You may well have seen something in the video that you liked the look of yourself and thought, oh, that's pretty tasty. I wouldn't mind that for my collection. Well, you now know where to go. Yeah, I'm not really sure what was on the front cover of that one. Some sort of residue of some sort. It seems alright now. I'll keep an eye on that one, a bit of an unusual one. I was pleased to get this. As I said, if you like these cleaning videos, they're not always this involved, to be honest, but with recent pickups, I tend to do those videos on this channel here, my main channel, what I've picked up in the previous month or two. But if it's going back over my older collection systematically, which is what I'm doing, that's on my other channel, so head on over to that one. Link in the description below, and you'll see me work my way systematically through all my old paperback series. And there is stuff that hasn't been, there's over there that's never been shown on the main channel because I haven't really got enough to warrant a proper video, but they're there in my collection nonetheless. This was a dirty book, very dirty back cover, but because it's laminated, it'll come off. There we are. It's a nice sci-fi one, science fiction one, Donald Westlake. Nice copy of that. And as you saw, Maurice had like 5 copies of it, something like that. Lovely. Now, got those odd pounds and digits to do. Gonna get a fresh bit of cloth again. This was pretty nice. Don't think there'll be much wrong with this one. Very nice edition of that one. This is that quite scarce Canadian one. Bit grubby, to be honest, but I knew it was a rare one and I didn't want to leave it behind because you just don't see the Canadian ones that often, and particularly a Canadian one by Christie. There's a few digits now. One of the laminated ones anyway. Come up mint as expected. Yeah, quite a bit coming off these, as you can see. The thing is, to the naked eye, it doesn't look like they're that dirty, but I know right up close here you can sort of see, and you can see the dirt lifting off them. And when you think we've been through, we've cleaned out anything internally, we've given them a good brush along the top edges, all the sides, this is like the final little bit to get them looking as good as they're ever going to look, really. In some cases I've had to repair spines and what have you, but it's all been worth it. Right. Some fresh cloth again because we just got those pocket Christies to do now. They're not going to need much and I need to be super careful because of the lamination. But I am going to give them a very, very gentle polish over. As I said, it's just on the laminate more than anything else. It'll just take off any fingerprint edge marks and things like that. There we are. I can't expect anything more than that. Don't want to do any more than that. This one hasn't got such a pronounced lamination on it, so being extra careful on this one. And it may be they weren't as these later ones weren't as laminated, probably as a cutting measure. So, but thankfully the copies are really nice anyway, so we're not doing any sort of damage or anything like that. We just want to be yeah, that's okay. Look at that, it's come off that spine. And I'll tell you what that is. That's nicotine. You find that, so that body in the library copy has just had a load of nicotine on it, which has built up over the years. So it's been in the library or the room of somebody who was a smoker, and that's what that's got off. And that's one of the reasons for doing this. Thankfully, because it was laminated so well back in the day, that sort of stuff comes off really easily. So not so much on certain Pan books and that. It does tend to leave a really awful yellow stain in that mottles, and you just can't get it off. But that one came off absolutely beautifully. Last couple here now. And then the hollow, which I rebound, which was a long old process, but it was worth it, because the one that was there, well, you wouldn't have believed the glue that came out of it. It was awful. So it's not perfect, but it's better than what it was, basically. A lot better. There we are. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed my little look through the All You Need Is Books warehouse. Thanks once again to Maurice for allowing myself and Steve to come and raid his stock again and have a much better, longer look around this time. I hope you've enjoyed looking through my pickups as well, and also the process I go through with cleaning them and making them as good as I possibly can before they enter my main collection. Thank you very much for watching today. If you have not already, do please hit that subscribe button, and do please give the video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Thanks very much for watching, and I shall look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.